Thank you very much indeed, Lasker Hirlock. At the very outset, can I compliment Sinn Féin for introducing this motion, which is going to have the unanimous support of the House, clearly. And it's important that that should be so. It would be a mistake to introduce it if it resulted in anything different. I also want to congratulate Sinn Féin on their election results of last week, and indeed to recognise the achievement of the Alliance Party as well, which of course sends its own message too. So congratulations are in order in both cases. I want to welcome my colleague, Minister Coveney, to the House and say that if he brings, and I know that he will, if he brings the same determined and competency to this issue of the ETA that he brought to the whole Brexit question previously and brings it to the protocol, the remaining negotiations on the protocol to set up the executive, I think we can be confident, and I know he's determined to do that, and I respect the fact, and it should be acknowledged, that you're up and running and you're at it today already. You couldn't be at it any quicker because it's only after the count, and it is important, so I recognise that. It's a crazy concept that we'd have a virtual border back, an electronic border. If implemented, it would greatly disturb. If it was to be implemented in its original form, it would greatly disrupt trade, it would disrupt normal life, it would disrupt education, disrupt healthcare, disrupt social interaction, just inter-family ties, etc. And, of course, hugely threaten tourism. So it's an absurd situation. It's totally contrary to the spirit of the Good Friday Agreement, and it's contrary to logic and common sense. So it's very important that it's vigorously opposed. It's very important that you go on doing that, Minister, and I suppose that's what everyone is trying to say in the House, that we want that vigorous opposition to continue as you try to negotiate amendments to it. It's important to recognise that you've already raised it with the Secretary of State at the Intergovernmental Conference. It's important to recognise that the Minister for Justice, Helen McEntee, has raised it with her counterparts. And it's important to recognise that the Embassy and the Diplomatic Corps are working on it. And that's all positive and has to continue. I thought it was an interesting statistic earlier that came up in Senator Curry's contribution when she said that surveys have suggested that 25% of potential tourists or people outside would see it as a barrier. If that's people who would not, in fact, come at all because of it. And you can find that in reality, if somebody comes into Dublin, as the Minister cited earlier, and they do travel around and they see this difficulty with the North, they're just going to go on to Donegal, or they're going to go down the Western Seaboard, or they're going to go elsewhere. They're not going to put themselves through this process and hardship, and it's going to be a disincentive from the word go. Or if they go into Northern Ireland, they're not going to come south. They'll stay around the Giant Causeway and the Titanic and whatever else, but they won't come down in those conditions. So it has huge implications, and as you initially said, Minister, we're marketing the country as an all-Ireland entity, as a tourism entity rather, and to prejudice that or to put that at risk is shocking. And it is one area where we could have had and should have and hopefully can remain having cooperation. It's an area of obvious cooperation, just as our healthcare, and that has been one of the great successes, has been the cross-border health initiative there, where people have gone with great success to Belfast and got a number of procedures done there, and it's worked very well. It's very quick, and the reimbursement system, etc., works well. And there are, maybe it needs a few modifications to deal with people who have difficulty raising the funds into the future. But it was a huge success, and it was a unifying factor on the island, and we can't have something that would disrupt that. Education so important, and cross-border education. Coming from County Cavan, it's very clear to me how absurd this is and the potential danger of it. It's, one has to hope and assume that you will achieve a number of derogations, but you do need ultimately to achieve its abolition or an effective derogation in the case of tourism, because the classic case of the visitor, or even as was cited earlier, the visitor who comes into Donegal, who's in a family in Donegal or for whatever reason and wishes to go across and to study in Northern Ireland or whatever. So no matter how you look at it, it's very dangerous. And I thought it was instructive to listen to our new senator in one of his first extremely excellent contributions, in that how he cited the ludicrous nature of it, its potential to reignite trouble, and the ludicrous nature of what was there previously. So I thought his contribution, given his previous role, was interesting. So just in essence and in finishing, I think it's a good motion. I think we have to unite behind it, and I think, Minister, we need you to stay strong on it, and I have no doubt, knowing you, that you will. Thank you.